Oh, well, maybe you're right. He's not building any drones. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 2 here for the TING Open. We didn't really talk about it before much, but this is a qualifying game. Hey, that son of a bitch. In the bottom left side of the map, he's down 1 point. Can he bring it back? It's going to be the orange Protoss, HuK.
In the top right for the 12 pool, it's the red Zerg Hydra.
Okay, so the point of going for early lings like this is usually to kill a pylon. We actually saw this explicitly, almost eerily similar situation earlier today. The problem was, I think it was HuK back then as well, the pylon was placed in the mineral line, not exposed at the front. So as long as HuK gets some decent SimCity up, this pool actually won't be as effective as he wants it to.
The ideal, no, it will not. But you can still mess up the probe micro.
Oh yeah,
I don't think
you can bleed out a ton of workers too.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. But the point is, the default that this build is intended for is actually not going to supply block HuK. It's not going to get that free pylon kill. This choice to build like this is uncommon, but it does seem North American Protoss do this more often than the Europeans. We always see the Europeans place the pylon gateways here.
So it was so funny, like, we saw plenty of Europeans die to similar builds, whether it's 12, 13, 14 pools, you name it. They'll have a wall, they'll have units, and yet still something important will fall down, and they'll still take damage from the early pool. In Heart of the Swarm, you actually had people learning that this might have been the better way to defend against those early Ling attacks, although walls are still ideal eventually. And, of course, scouting this also really helps. Now,
the natural base is unfortunately a really big target.
Well, that's true. HuK in the last series that we brought up, similar situation, he actually went for a Nexus first and was able to defend okay.
This is bait.
Lost 5 probes.
I love this. He did that on purpose. He's going to cancel it. Yep. He wanted to buy a few extra seconds to get that Zealot out. That was so well done.
I can only imagine not going for Nexus first. HuK's going to do a lot better and hopefully not lose any probes. I mean, he might lose the Zealot, 1 or 2 probes, but...
Well, he's going to be hugging a lot of his surface area here to make sure it doesn't get fully surrounded. That's a really important key component to holding. I mean, he's only barely lost shields. This is good so far. As the Adepts start coming out of the Mothership Core especially, that natural base isn't actually going to be a burden. He'll hold this.
Yep. Yeah, very nice so far. 0 probes killed.
Yeah, economy game, heavy for HuK as well. Even pulling the probes, he still stays pretty much on par. He's going to bounce back once all those go back to mining. Natural base is Ling. It's not a big deal. We'll take care of that with the Zealot fairly easily. It wasn't even a matter of HuK needing to counterattack off this immediately or anything. We've seen some players actually prefer to do that, send that 1/2 damage Zealot and the Adept across the map. But he held, and he held really well. Like, this is something that actually needs to be noted, because this is something where we've seen players lose the game to this move.
Oh, sure. Or lose, enough probes to just already be out of the game. Very slow ramp up after you lose, like, 10 probes. So to hold basically perfectly, you gotta imagine HuK's gotta, like, feeling really good about this game. We so often see the game end, though, that I'm not sure how the follow-up's going to look. Hydra has to react to these 2 Adepts moving across the field. They're more dangerous than the usual 2 Zealots we see moving across the field after an early pool. And he does not have any Lings. He was just purely droning. Oh, no, he does. They're up at the ramp. That's a cool idea.
Even then, though, these Adepts in the mineral line can pretty easily take care of it.
Yeah. The Adepts being able to maybe even force out more Lings would be exactly what Hydra does not want to do. I mean, ideally, you still have the Lings alive from the early push, or you only have to make like 2 or 3 more, and you are just droning. But the Shades get over to the 3rd base, drones would be pulling little bits.
There was like a 1-second moment of indecision there that's going to cost that Adept its life, I think. Oh no, barely gets alive.
Oh, dang.
Oh man, 1 health, literally 1 health. 1 HP hype!
Yeah.
I think... For HuK, he doesn't kill much. He got like a drone kill. It's not a big deal, but he gets both the Adepts alive, which is really nice. The way this game opened, again, I just want to see more of these 2 play. I don't even want this to be a best of 3. I want this to be a best of 7.
Yeah, this has been like a really, really nice series. Now, it's going to calm down a bit. Hydra has done a decent job replenishing his drones, right? He dealt with the Adept as good as you really can expect, and of course held off on Link speed too to try and get that economy back up. But it only looks decent right now because HuK, he invested into a 3rd base. That 3rd base is about to finish. Like, he's gonna have to like triple pro production. It's going to be better than usual for Protosses, and it's already a pretty good map for Protosses.
Ooh, there's no Spore Crawlers. These Adepts aren't going to be looking for probe kills or drone kills this time. They're going to be looking for queen kills / distraction forces. The Oracle just comes right on in. In fact, it's going to go on top of the queens. Falls back a little bit. Just kind of dancing around with the Adept's auto attack. No Sonic Transfer necessary because he's killing the Lings right here and now. The Roaches pop. They're gonna have to chase
might
a
want
little
to go
bit.
for now.
Cancel. That's a cancel. No, he's gonna go for it.
Does.
That quick reaction at a Hydra, by the way, like the second those came out, he pulled the drones on top of it. Just that little bit of extra damage to shut this down.
So the shades weren't worth it, but you know, scouting. There's no Spore Crawler. Maybe you try and go, but of course, Hydra had seen the Oracle and does throw on the Spore Crawlers right now. The Phoenix follow-up, not too surprising, but right into the double Robos, even before he adds on more gateways. 3 is a decent amount, of course, but decent setup with the front too. There's the more gateways. Actually trying to create some SimCity. I feel like SimCity is just it can be a double-edged sword for anyone, of course. But you know, Terrans have a little bit easier of a time because we can lower supply demons. You know,
that one game with the Liberator, right? It was like one of the amateur players who SimCity got him killed because he couldn't get a stalker back to the Liberator.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was thinking of a couple of games where the disruptors would try and come out, but like on the wrong side of the SimCity, and they actually can't go through the building. So, well. I don't think HuK's gonna be going for that. It's really there was a phase where everyone was going for disruptors, and now it's definitely more stylistic. You know, like Billowy goes from apparently, but everyone else is actually just determined that Immortal, Charge Lot, Archon, maybe Blink Stalkers, I guess depending on their opener went, is the better composition. It's so brute force.
I like the Phoenix. They've got a really cool aspect in the game where you're constantly afraid of Mutalisk as Protoss right now. It's an unfortunate state of the game, but you are constantly at the back end of the back of your mind afraid of it. So having 5 or 6 controlling the map and do some crowd control / RAS also guarantees that you're not going to get caught off guard by the Mutalisks. However, these present the same problem that they did in HOTS, where if you go for Phoenix early on, you're not going to have a really large standing ground army. And if Hydra's going for a big Roach Hydra all in and not for Lurkers, HuK may struggle to defend.
Yeah, in this case, Roach Hydra just, you know, bare bones would be way better. The Lurkers would have to slowly move up, and they do actually get torn down by the Immortals pretty quickly. But HuK is going to be fairly hard to break on 3 bases, especially with the SimCity. When it comes down to a 4th base, that might be a little more questionable. And Hydra's really only just, I think, started to recover from that early game. We checked the graphs, and they've actually kind of swapped continuously on the income advantage.
Yeah. That's like each round of drones that pops, and then he's got to wait for larva and get more, and then pops again. For Hydra, of course, and HuK, it's not about who's got the income in this point. Because normally we talk about the income being a pretty important factor in the game, but because it is passive play, not playing the biggest factor. Aside from a race to 200 to 200, but neither player is maxing out anytime soon. Oops, sees those Hydras, loses a Phoenix, backs away immediately. I do wonder if this will prompt him to change, though. He's got the Twilight Council, so I'm imagining he's looking for Storms more than Disruptors.
He might just go for Charge. Going for Storm before Charge can be very dangerous, because, you know, Storms, they sometimes can't hit. At least these Zealots are actually guaranteed damage now, especially with their first, you know, the actual animation hitting the unit's attacks, too.
Yeah, the Charge actually dealing damage itself. He's going to try and get Storms on the back end of this. I like what HuK's doing. It's a very good response to what he sees on the field. And if Hydra is going for Lurkers, let's not forget, Phoenix are actually really good against Lurkers. So if he can use those Storms to take out the Hydras, the Phoenix can Graviton beam up the Lurkers, rip them out of the ground, and stop them entirely.
I gotta imagine seeing the Hydras come out the time that they did was a little scary for HuK, who, you know, Immortals, the barrier, they're better, but still not great against those units. But the truth of the matter was that Hydra, his army count just wasn't that high. If everything had gone swimmingly for both parties, maybe it's actually a push worth doing without Lurkers and without the transition and not even waiting for the 2-2. But with the way this game has gone, they've actually been very consistent on the army supplies, and Hydra does have to wait for everything here. If he pushed now, it wouldn't go well.
Oh, a little bit scary getting all those drones picked up, but perhaps Over picks up. He doesn't actually have the damage to kill the drones. A little bit awkward. That happens, I think, sometimes from time to time.
Yeah. This Void Ray feels a little odd. Just a single Void Ray later on in the game.
It can be. I guess there's some situations where I can see this actually playing out pretty nicely for him. But I agree. Like, it's not going to be good against the Hydras. It's not going to stop Roaches and Ravagers. But it is that little bit of extra damage. And maybe Hydra prioritizes diving in for it and ignores the Oracle or the Hydra or the Phoenix or something. Warp Prism heading towards the main. I like this. Charge Lots hitting into that mineral line. Good against Hydras, also quite good against drones. Surrounds that Queen right away, but the Warp Prism's got to get out of there. Focus down way too quick. But while the Hydras are here in the main, this gives HuK the opportunity to push down the middle of the map. And yeah, he's cleaning creep on the way. And yeah, there's a couple of lurkers. But actually, the Immortals, there's enough Immortals that they're going to one-shot. One volley will kill these lurkers.
Yeah. Problem wasn't sure what was behind that army, and he was going through a choke, so takes the safe way out and pulls back. Abuses the high ground a little bit here. A little funny to see.
The Immortals actually look really awesome shooting down.
Yeah. The Revelation on the drone army was not ideal. I think he really wanted to get the lurkers.
Yeah, well, he does have an observer with it, so it's not like he can't see it. But Revelation, yeah, lets you see from far away, which is nice. That first lurker gets focused down pretty quick. Results charge into a lot of damage. Awkward.
This is a better situation for HuK. I mean, the army supplies are very similar, but the army is it just looks so much better, especially with +2 finishing up.
Ooh, those lurkers in a good spot to take a fight here on the high ground. A lot of Zealots get chunked, and the Immortals taking a hard time getting into range of hit these.
Yeah,
I mean, 13 range on those.
Oh, look at the changelings! The changes are blocking out 3 of those Immortals. Is that even intentional? Did Hydra do that on purpose?
That must have been on purpose, because he did drop them. They
so
were following the
cool.
Zealots initially. Ripping those lurkers right out of the ground, but the push does catch him off guard from behind. He's trying to get in here, but there's still lurkers covering this from every angle. In this position for HuK, he's losing his army, everything going down.
So awkward, and it was a lot to do with those changelings.
Oh my
if
God.
all 6 Immortals were able to get into position, the lurkers suddenly look like they're in a bad position.
But we asked about the Void Ranger. It's actually 2 lurkers because the Hydras were trapped initially. Oh, that's too funny. But HuK, he's out of juice, unfortunately.
He is, and he's rallying forward too, which is not helping. You know, like he's lost a couple Immortals. He's gonna lose another Immortal on the rally, and he's probably gonna get overwhelmed on the defense.
Yeah, look at on the army graph too. You just see a dip. Like that was like not an even on either side trade. HuK still got money. He's still pumped out double Immortals. He's got a couple of stasis wards, which might help a little bit as you see catch some of those lings. But I don't.
Cannons help.
I don't know if there's enough photon overcharges in the world for this. Oracle goes down. He's still got detection. Lurker's starting to go away.
Yeah.
Without the lurkers, this actually becomes more manageable, but it's still an overwhelming amount of Hydralisks.
Yeah, I think the charge lots have been able to do more against the Hydralisks when it did okay, but they were
Did he ever
also
even get
involved
the
with the
storm, by the way?
lurkers. I don't think so.
That's really unfortunate. So HuK sadly looks like he's going to fall to the losers bracket. GG. Hydra is going to qualify through and be another Zerg player to join the, well, actually 2 others. That's right, Bly and Lambo in the group stages. So nicely done.